some people do this. They just turn a blind eye and they're like, I was
Yeah.
not involved. I was not around. So that's my theory.
I think that she definitely knew something. But like you said, I think it was more of like, I'm gonna turn the other cheek. I don't wanna know. I don't wanna ask questions. I don't, you know, I'm gonna look the other way. I don't think she was actively engaging in the freak offs. I think she was at the parties and the freak off room. She was like, I'm gonna let my man do what he's gonna do. Like, I don't wanna know.
It's the Pop Report.
So juicy.
Another day, another week, another not rock tea. What which wearing a hoodie
No rock
today?
tees today. I have my merch on, my Zack Pack hoodie. Because it was chilly.
You're
I woke up and it was so windy and cold outside, and then it got hot. So I went to walk the dogs, and it was like now I'm like very sweaty.
your lookalike Metallica hoodie of the Zack Pack. Yes, very coming in hot today with things. So I have the Marks hat. Look at us. What's happening
Look
with
at
you?
us. How was your weekend?
Just a I don't even know what I freaking did. You know, those weekends you're like, no, I know what I did. Yesterday I logged on to work. And
You worked on
I
Veterans Day?
I literally logged on, worked an hour, and realized I had off. So that's if you are in that, I was like, thank God, thank the Lord. I honestly also kind of had a panic attack. I saw like military grade helicopters and jets outside, and I was like, oh my God, like what is going on? And I was like, oh fuck you, dumb bitch! Like it's Veterans Day. I was like, I was like, this makes a lot more sense. So yeah. What about you?
Shout out to all the vets. Nothing crazy. I didn't do it. I was at a relatively tame and chill weekend. So you had the day off. You enjoyed your day off yesterday.
Oh, I made 24 candles. I've
Wow.
started over the weekend, and I started the rest after. I was like, fuck it, I'm not working. I'm working on my candles. So
Why are
yeah.
you making candles?
Do you think I really want to afford a candle that's $30 in this economy?
I mean, that's
Like
smart.
when I buy them, and I'm like, I wish it looked like this. I wish it smelled like this. I'm like, bitch, why don't I fucking make them myself?
But why do
So
you need to make 24? That's so many candles.
I had a bunch, and then like I had some people who had given me their candle jars, and I was like, I'm just make as many as I can in this 10 pounds of wax that I have. So I added my fragrance, did the damn thing. I think I kept maybe like 10 to 14 for myself, because like, do I want to do this again? Not that often. Like, it's not a quarterly thing. I'm like like 3 times a year. I can get with that.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to do this like every month. So
I mean,
I had
that's
to create
smart
a
because then
profit
you're
surplus.
fully stocked on candles.
Yeah, when you're having a day, just be a pyro and light it up. Any candle bitches out there, you have my love because I share that same
You
flame,
can even set
that
up like
twin
a
flame.
romantic evening where you light all the candles, like in the
Or light a
movies.
seance,
I mean, or that
just
too.
like, just there's so many different reasons for a flame. I was a kid who enjoyed burning things at my grandmother's house because she had a
Oh,
big bonfire. She'd be like, "You want to burn today?" I'd be like, "Hell yeah, let's burn."
mm,
So, little things. Little
okay.
things.
Wow.
Speaking of twin flames, though, we got some interesting news with Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox coming up in a little bit. We've got some things, obviously, about some have seen about Chappell Roan. So to clear that up in this episode about some reports and so much more. But obviously, if you like the pop report, before we get into shit, you hit the like button, you hit the whatever, you hit the subscribe, you do the damn thing because somehow, some way, even making 24 candles, we show up and show the fuck out for you. So, any love is appreciated. Have there been any reviews yet lately, Zachary? Because I don't think anyone's left a review of any sort, which
Um,
I'm getting a little offended at this point.
yeah, guys, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review.
That helps us.
We've been getting
Yep.
ratings, but it doesn't look like we've gotten a review. We got a couple new ratings, at least.
Hmm.
So people are listening and rating the show.
Well, if you give a review, I don't know what to give you, but it helps us in the charts. So, without further ado, I think that's enough begging and pleading. We should just get on to the news.
Let's do it.
So, what in our hot in the headlines would you like to start with? Because both of these stories are interesting, but at the same time, not for one of them. Okay, anyway, let's get into. I think everyone has been following a lot of Diddy updates when it comes to our podcast. So, what is the latest Diddy update that you and I have seen? Would you like to take the lead on this?
Yeah, so well, the latest I've seen is that TMZ has a documentary that they're coming out with, which I don't love the TMZ. A lot of these documentaries, like, I feel like are just like they're very National Enquirer. I feel like TMZ is not National Enquirer, but their documentaries have not been
They're
my
trying to be like
favorite.
ABC investigates, like that kind of stuff. I'm like, you're TMZ. Like, this
Like
is.
they get good info and they let us know when like a member of One Direction dies and then they post the body. So like they tell us when Kobe Bryant's plane crashes before the family finds out. So they're usually like on the pulse of the news, but I just don't I'm not a fan of their documentary. So I don't know what to expect with this upcoming Diddy documentary. I can't say I'm looking forward to it that much, but they do have one concert goer. She was a musician. They shared a clip from the documentary that's going to be coming out where she talks about being at the parties, and she says that they had minors at these parties and the minors would be dressed up. She didn't say what they did with them or like what the minors'
Mhm.
involvements were, but it was just strange that she's like, yeah, there were underage kids. Should they were dressed up as Harajuku girls?
Yeah,
Um,
like, don't like the Gwen Stefani of it all at home. She's just like Harajuku girls. Like, I'm being called back into this. Like,
yeah.
hmm,
So
yeah.
uncertain like what their role was or why they even had kids at these or just underage minors at these parties,
They,
but
it literally described them as little people,
yeah.
and I was like, okay, like that could be a little person, but I
Which
think
is what I
it's
thought at
little.
first and she's like, "No, to be very clear, they were not
You
of
have a history
age."
with little people, so you would know. Yeah,
I am a supporter of all the little people, yes.
yeah, yeah. Well, if they're dressed as Harajuku girls and they're trying to go on a date with you, I think that also fits in the lane of them fishing for you and not being truthful on their identity.
Very
Like
true.
something different. Yeah. Zach has a fun story. We talked about it before, where a little person misled
Catfish
him
me.
on a date. So ambush is that the word? That's yeah. Find
Listen,
love. One of my friends recently went on a date with someone who found out they were 10 years older than they actually were.
well, that happens pretty often.
The truth will set you free.
Yes,
Just
it will.
always
The
do.
truth will set you free.
Yeah. So
Should we talk about, or did you have any other Diddy updates?
well, I was just gonna say we've had a couple Diddy updates right now where his lawyers are appealing for bail because they're claiming that anybody involved in a certain nature of sexual acts was all consensual. So that is what their team is saying right now. It is very surprising to have that as your only argument at the moment when there's situations like this that come up. There are like there were children there. Whoever said yes or not. These other reports about the party said there was a high amount of drug use. There's alcohol involved. They're up till 7. Like in this TMZ report update documentary, this woman said the party, the freak off started happening at 7 a.m. And so like it whether there were consensual things or not, not everything of this is good and is something that could not be punishable. So
I mean,
it's
listen, he also said he didn't do anything to Cassie, and then the video came out.
I'm just waiting for part 2 of something to drop. Like
Something, I mean, I'm hoping something drops. I think people are, I don't think we want another cover up like the Epstein case where people were expecting so much and then we didn't really hear much about it and there was no real prosecution against anybody that was even on the Epstein list. So I'm hoping we get something more from the Diddy list. I
I have
saw an
some
article
theories.
on the Daily Mail the other day where they were like, "Oh, J Lo, I don't believe J Lo knows anything about Diddy," and I was like, "That's sketchy." Like she was at these parties with like J Lo has to know something.
It's a difference of the 90s versus now, like of things that she probably recalls, remembers. There's probably vivid things she does recall, or at least knows, but maybe she wasn't there. They both had very busy um, times producing things. So, like, overall, I don't really know how much time they were together in these parties. So, they were working partners. They were dating at one point, but from what I've seen, they're like they weren't really around too much.
You really think she didn't know anything? You think she knows
I'm not
absolutely
saying
nothing?
that. I don't say that. I think that what people have to say about it is I think that she probably was less around for some of these things and probably some people do this. They just turn a blind eye and they're like, I was
Yeah.
not involved. I was not around. So that's my theory.
I think that she definitely knew something. But like you said, I think it was more of like, I'm gonna turn the other cheek. I don't wanna know. I don't wanna ask questions. I don't, you know, I'm gonna look the other way. I don't think she was actively engaging in the freak offs. I think she was at the parties and the freak off room. She was like, I'm gonna let my man do what he's gonna do. Like, I don't wanna know.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with Ben Affleck, but different. Same, but different. I don't know. Anyway, we have some other updates. Speaking of other couples, this Briana Chickenfry thing has progressed in this way that I didn't think it would be given much breath and attention, but Brianna Chickenfry has put out a lot of TikTok videos since this breakup that she's gone through, and I've seen her detail this breakup in what was she's saying she was blindsided. She's posting the typical, you know, I spent all these months with you. Those videos you see of TikTok people like compilations of memories and then they're crying. So I'm like, she's on this right on the nail like path, but there's an update in terms of this development with her. At least I've only been keeping up with her TikTok videos. What have you been keeping up with?
Well, I just think there's so much fascination about their relationship right now, and everybody's following everything that's unfolded with Brianna. Her name is Brianna Chicken. Like that's not her real. Why does she come up with the name Chicken Fry?
LaPaglia, I think I don't honestly know. I don't really keep up with Zach Bryan. I think says that like sings that song like a little bit of chicken fry, right? Why am I wrong? Like I
I don't
cold
know.
beer on a
I'm
Friday night.
so new to Brianna Chicken Fry. I only by seeing so many people talk about her and Zach Bryan over these past couple of weeks, I was finally like, okay, I need to understand what is going on with their relationship. And so my understanding is they had a very hot and heavy relationship, went on for a little over a year, ended recently, and he hasn't addressed it. But she, or
Okay, I have the reason. Hold
aside from
on.
the announcement that he made addressing the breakup, he hasn't really addressed her recent allegations, which she's now claiming that he was emotionally abusive in their relationship, and she's afraid of him.
Before you continue that, I found out why she is
Chicken
named
fry.
Chicken Fry. She said, quote, I made a vine where I thought my leg looked like a Burger King chicken fry. Then it went viral, and I'm like, I'm gonna stick with the chicken fry name. That's it. Like,
Brianna Chicken Fry.
yeah.
What a
So
stupid name.
anyway, continue.
Well, I mean, that's everyone's now like, is she like they? I. It's a matter of how much they actually believe her allegations of emotional abuse, and I think it's really tricky to make abuse allegations and to say that it was emotional abuse because I feel like that's a very subjective that like physical abuse, sexual abuse, like those things are tangible. Whereas I just feel like emotional abuse is very broad, it's very vague, and there isn't he hasn't spoken out about it. And just looking back at like you said, the compilation videos of their relationship, they seem to be very in sync with each other. That I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what happened that led to this breakup.
So, at least for the timeline on what I know and what I've seen and through these articles, um, Zach Bryan posted the breakup on October 22nd. So
Yeah.
this is what, like the first 20-ish days? It's like the first 48 hours. But he posted that they have broken up, and it was shortly after fans allegedly saw him already on Raya. That's what people are saying. And so he said, please respect her privacy, the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
And she was very blindsided. She said she had no
She says
idea
she
that
was blindsided.
he was going to post that soon. I've been in these situations too where like you date somebody
Yeah.
and they make I've had a case where I dated somebody in less than 24 hours they posted on Facebook.
Wow.
Andy and I have broken up. We've parted ways. Thank you everyone like for the love in our relationship. And I'm like, getting messages from people being like, I'm so sorry I saw so and so's Facebook status. I'm so sorry I saw this. And I'm like, sorry about what? And you just get like this wave of messages and more. And this
Yeah.
is what exactly she's saying is I was not ready to be receiving and to tell everybody yet. I was still, taking my time. She said, quote, like, I had no idea the post was going up. He didn't text me, didn't call me. I just woke up to a bunch of texts being like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And so she's like, at that point, how can you go give someone everything and love them so unconditionally? And then how can you give so much like of yourself to someone and be what she says discarded within a few days
Yeah.
to have someone else already on a dating app and so much more? That's why she's really upset. She wasn't really ready to do anything publicly. And November 7th, he released 2 tracks, one called The World's Giant and High Road. And there was also a diss track released called Smallest Man, which was a reference to a Taylor Swift song called The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived.
Yeah.
So it is interesting because they both have like these people, this big personality, both of them country star. She's gained a lot of social following, but in a podcast episode, she made claims accusing him of the emotional abuse, like you said. And she claimed on top of this, which was wild to me, she was offered $12 million in a New York City apartment to sign an NDA about the
Yeah.
relationship, which she refused. So like she said right now she's scared, and that's like why it's gotten to the point where a second diss track came out, and we're still somehow in this, but girl, like if someone offered me an NDA for a $12 million
Yeah, I would
apartment
take
and
the money and shut up. Like I would be good. I would take the apartment, I would take the money and be like, all right, I don't need to talk about it.
I would be like, how are you going to afford this?
I mean,
I
he's
don't know.
apparently
You also sit there and take a gamble. You're like, do I ride this out, create my own thing for myself, and stick up for my own self worth, or do I say, I'm not gonna address how I feel, like I'm not gonna say my side, my piece, like, um, yeah, it's a tough call. It's depending on the relationship and how things ended, but in this case, it seems like she is just like, no, I'm not gonna be tossed aside like a pawn in your
I
life.
also think though that in breakups, and I think it's so fresh after the breakup, but I do think that in this fresh period, there sometimes is a bit of, revisionist history of like, I mean, think about it. Think of, pick a breakup. And in that breakup, did you see it the exact same way that it ended that the other person saw it?
And then you bring up all these
No,
things like, oh my
especially
God, we
like if
did
you're the
this,
one
did
that
that.
initiates the breakup, you're the bad guy, and then you're the one, and then everybody starts to relook at the relationship, and it's just, you're too emotional this fresh after a breakup that I think, you don't have full clarity and your feelings haven't quite settled yet. Like there are still emotions you have to process that for them to be playing this out so publicly. I don't like that he posted the announcement and didn't give her a heads up because they are public figures that like once you post that, and it wasn't a mutual
Mhm.
posting. It was like him saying
Collab
that the
post.
relationship was ended. So, it was insta official. Um, but I don't know. I'm not, I feel like I don't like how loosely we use the term emotional abuse. It's very much how we loosely use the terms like narcissist or this person was, like people like to use those terms to deflect from how they're contributing to issues in a relationship without actually taking accountability for their role in the relationship.
Yeah, we don't know a lot of other things that she may be hinting to emotional abuse, like you said, people going through things,
But
but
it's like, how do you define, like, what is emotional abuse? He hurt my feelings. He said mean words to me. Like, what is the emotional, like, there's no real definition for emotional abuse. It's such a subjective term that, like, if we got in a fight last week and be like, Andy emotionally abused me, my feelings were hurt. So therefore, I feel emotionally abused.
do you feel like some people will say the word emotional abuse if they're given like a silence, like NDA? Like, how would you classify someone in that case? Because that's all right now we know necessarily is a breakup and an NDA. So I don't think for me, I would classify giving an NDA or receiving an NDA as emotionally abusive. I think it is more just like they're trying to silence me in general.
I mean, but like a lot of people don't realize like how common NDAs are with relationships where if you go to a celebrity's house, they usually have you sign an NDA at the door because they don't want somebody taking and selling a story about them. And Luke Bryan is very successful right
Back
now that,
then.
it's not unreasonable to think that she couldn't capitalize off of the breakup if she wanted to. I mean, this I'm sure all of her, posts on social media.
Why is the apartment involved? That's the real question, though. It's like you could just sign an
That's a
NDA
good
and say,
point.
"Look, let's go our secret lives and go our own way." But there's something there,
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think there's something there that they're trying to conceal
or
to
he
make
is
such a big
necessarily in trying
offer.
to.
Yeah,
So that's why I sit and I'm like NDA no, but like giving
yeah,
an apartment and money is like an emotional. I have control over you if I can give this. Like I don't think I'd call it emotionally abusive, but like it is trying to take control
yeah.
of a person's narrative.
That's
So
true. That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
yeah. Well, we have other news to get to. In our music news, I have something to break down that you have put in here that I've seen left and fucking right. And
Yeah.
it's about your girl Chappell Roan.
Oh, my favorite. Can't
And
wait.
the thing is, this article came out from Billboard News. And the thing is, working in publisher, this is where I want to stand on my little box and high horse and say, publishers fucking get it wrong sometimes. And like, we have to own up to it. And in this case, Billboard published an article that was late. And so when we omit certain things or not get to them on time, there are checks and balances. I think unfortunately this story about Chappell Roan, people have their own thoughts about Chappell Roan, so the story taking its own shape is as follows. Chappell Roan, as of late, you probably saw the headline, you put it in here. Split with her management team. Everyone's like, ah, fuck, not her week, like, not her time. Like, he just got nominated for Grammys. This obviously is bad timing.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're gonna get that Grammy? Good luck. The people who vote, good luck. They have a narrative. This news is actually old. It's from October 10th. So, at least right now, obviously, putting it in coinciding with Grammys is tough. The way it's detailed in the article and that title it's given is not necessarily, it is for clicks.
Honest.
Like,
Yeah. It was a
Chappell Roan
clickbait
splits her
article.
management team, and the article is not giving full breadth of on October 10th, a lot of managers and agents came to see her in Austin City Limits because she had a manager named, I believe his name was Brandon, and they signed in 2018. And the thing is, they're splitting ways because she's too big. She is not with the resources,
Yeah.
and people have been circulating around like this is literally based on her schedule, her resources, and there was a comment. I've also seen this where people point out Stevie Nicks looking at her schedule and saying they're overworking you. They don't know how to do this. Like this is not like the resource you need. But she even commented Chappell herself on Billboard's post and said, "I hate y'all for this," like on the article. So I think she honestly can't catch a break from how the media is depicting her, aside from like the incidents she has, you know, acted on. But this one is like that sucks because that could impact the Grammy for her. Like this coming around this time and more, it's
Yeah, I mean, I think this happens a lot more often than we realize, right? Where there's a piece of information, it gets presented, and it's lacking context. And the presentation is intended to stir up a reaction. And in this case, the reaction was to not make Chaperone look good. We have the Grammys coming up. They coincided that the Grammy announcement came, and, this was on the heels of her, parting ways with her management team. Regardless of when Billboard found out this information, they knew that this would blow up the way that it did with the way that they presented it. And I
Rolling
don't
Stone
think,
picked it up. Like our friend Lewis picked it up, and I was like, oh, everyone's
well, because the reality is most people don't read beyond the first paragraph, and very rarely do they even get there. They kind of just read the headline and leave it at that. And listen, journalists and big companies like Billboard know how to drive. Like, we forget that they're also a business. They have to drive clicks, they have to drive traffic, they have to drive engagement, and we see a lot of stuff like this happen more often. And I know I've been very critical of Chappell Roan, but in this case, I understand her frustration with them, and I don't think that this helps her chances with the Grammys.
No, it actually sucks because like this kind of perception affects the voters of the Academy, and whether you like it or not, they're gonna have this connotation.
Because
But
at the end of the day, it's not that big of a story. Like you said, her management
no,
team,
it's
like she outgrew it, she moved on. Like it didn't need to be a story at all. But she's a polarizing figure in our community right now. She's, somebody that gets a lot of clicks. People don't want to see good news about her. They want to see news that's going to sensationalize and further ruin her reputation. And therefore, they're more likely to click on an article that makes it look like her management team dropped her after a string of these controversial issues that we've seen play out online.
Mhm.
And it's not the most ethical, to be
Mm-mm.
honest.
No. In other news, on a lighter note, for our Watcher Skip and our review section, I wanted to give a little throwback review to anybody who needs just like a trashy fucking binge. Like
were
that's
you
I
were
think
you
what
watching
sometimes
this trashy binge?
you mean Housewives? No, I'm not watching Housewives right now. Um, I do love me some old school reality. And I think
Yes.
for our reviews for Watch or Skip, sometimes we need to throw it back of a recommendation of turn this fucking on, sit fat, and just buckle the fuck up. Like for me right now, Hoarders, love that fucking shit. I love that A&E show. I'm like, if there's not shit on the ground, I don't want to watch the episode. The more the case is, I'm like, actually, I want to know and be invested a little bit. But I love the clean organization mess kind of shows. But mine is actually a throwback to Hotel Hell, which is a
Mm.
Gordon Ramsay show. So it is Hoarders meets Kitchen Nightmares. And Gordon Ramsay goes to all of these different failing hotels, and it is in the prime precipice of the 2000s and 2010s reality TV.
Mm.
Fucking shit hits the fan left and right. And oh God, I can binge every episode. They're 43 minutes. And like you see Gordon complaining about a fucking hotel room to just like the food at the restaurant. And it's backwards how some of these people run these, but putting this man in a hotel and not in a kitchen is so comical. You see butt cheeks of his too, left and right.
I remember when this aired originally, and people were like so shocked at like the things that he was exposing about hotels that like we don't even realize like how messy or
The
like how.
innkeepers live there, or like one episode, the guy lives in an RV outside, where he's like, actually, my husband wants to move into the inn. Like, it's not just like Hampton Inn. It's like bed and breakfast. It's like full on
Yeah.
like small town like hotels and motels, but it is it's weird and it's fun weird.
It is. It's good. I was also a couple weeks ago. I went on a throwback binge of this dating show on MTV called Date My Mom. Well,
Ugh.
okay. So there are three of us. There are three that I've revisited recently, and I even did an Instagram reel about this. So it was Date My Mom, Room Raiders, and
Wife swap.
no, Next. I feel like I've talked about Next before, but they were dating shows on
Hmm.
MTV. And Date My Mom is where you have two
I
moms
love that
that
one.
go on a date with a potential suitor, and they have to represent
Sometimes
their
three.
kid.
Yeah, sometimes three.
Yeah.
And I love like the end where like they're so confident. They like love the fucking mom. And the mom's like, I have a banging daughter. Like, you really missed out. And the daughter comes out, and you're like, yes, cool. Like, I didn't miss anything. And the mom that they pick is like, my daughter's so fun, so charming. And it's this polar opposite of what they describe.
Yeah.
It was, ugh. I always get those social clips fed to me, like, even from that.
So
So.
good. I miss those old school reality shows or like Next. Next was wild. It was literally like in real life Tinder where you walk off the bus and they decide whether or not they want to swipe left or swipe right. If what they
Date
want to
bus?
what?
No. Oh, sorry. No, different.
What
Okay.
did you say?
The bait bus.
The what?
Hmm.
The
It's
bait, but
fine.
that's a porn, right?
That is a porn. Mm-hmm. You
I
also love this week, speaking of porn, in our Watcher Skip, Wicked, it's happening. But Wicked, Mattel put Wicked.com to visit for people to get more Mattel and Wicked merch. And Wicked.com is a porn site. So
oh
they had to issue an apology for all these Mattel toys that said visit Wicked.com. And it's just like,
oh
it is Wicked.
no!
Oh, no, indeed. So
Did you see
remember,
Wicked?
I didn't go to that premiere. Do you
Oh,
think I
you
got an
always go to
invitation?
premieres, so I assumed you were there.
You always say I don't post shit, so what if if I went and I didn't say anything?
That's why.
Mm,
But
mm.
why didn't you didn't go? They didn't invite you.
I don't. Hello, world of invites. Why did I not get one? Thank you. Like, I saw everyone, people I know, and I'm like, good for you. But I'm like, I do not have to be at everything.
Totally thought you would have been there.
Oh, okay. Well, missed opportunity for me. But in our Watcher Skip, we have other things that are actually being announced that are going on. So Mission Impossible 8 just got announced. I haven't seen a single goddamn one. Good for him. Good for her. The whole damn thing. Mission Impossible 8, I know Tom Cruise is really super, super upset, like COVID-19 delays, production delays, but Mission Impossible 8 is coming out. I don't know. Let's see if we have an official date. Yeah, The Final Reckoning is what it's called, which is
COVID
like,
delays. COVID was like 8 years ago.
oh, girl, let me get into this. The Final Reckoning is the official title for the eighth, which was originally slated to be the part two of 2023's Dead Reckoning. It's scheduled to release May 23rd, 2025, and it was set for 2022, but was delayed due to the pandemic and the SAG after strike.
Mm.
So, like, Pandemi Lovato and the pickets caused a little thing. But he posted the title and the poster on Monday, and he said, every choice has led to this.
Every kiss begins with K.
Anyway. Other things we have is we have the Bear season 4 footage is now coming out for this upcoming season. I was like, wow,
When is it
wow, wow.
dropping?
They want it for the slate of 2025 with season 4. I'm guessing it's probably going to be like mid 2025 or late to be considered for Emmys, but we will see. But yeah, I was surprised. I was like, damn, I didn't even watch the latest season. Like,
It
it's
wasn't
still
good.
okay. And last but not least, we have a Sam Friedman movie for Apple based on the book Going Infinite. So A24 and Apple are in early development for the adaptation of the book, which is The Rise and Fall of a New Tycoon. And Lena Dunham is working on the script.
Is she
So
still around?
yeah, yeah. But if you don't remember, Sam Bankman-Fried was the world's youngest billionaire, and Crypto Gatsby they called him, with like the fall of the crypto
Yeah.
crash and everything else. And that's what you missed this morning. I feel like a radio anchor being like, today's traffic alert has the I-10 West closed on the left lane. You will be facing some inward bound tension and heat from other drivers.
I have to say, I don't know if either of those three like have compelled me to want to watch any. I mean, maybe I'll give The Bear a chance, but like, I don't know. I don't need to see another Mission Impossible. I liked Top Gun too. I thought that was good. Give me Glenn Powell and Miles Teller, and
Huh. Okay.
I was down for that. But I don't know if I need an eighth Mission Impossible. I'm not like on the edge of my seat, waiting for this since pre-COVID.
Do what you got to do, girl. Do what you got to do. That's
But
all I say.
you know what is riveting?
Hmm.
Army Hammer's podcast, Hammer Time.
Oh my God, not him getting a vasectomy for his birthday.
His mother he had his mom on his podcast because I guess not many people want to go on his podcast considering his controversial past. But his mother came on his podcast for a 2-part interview. And in the interview, it is revealed that
On Hammer Time.
what?
On Hammer Time.
Yeah, it is revealed that he got a vasectomy from his mother, and he talks about having to go in to make the appointment to get the vasectomy because she thinks that there are people that want to have Army Hammer's baby and she wants to protect him because he doesn't want to have kids anymore and he already has 2 kids and he doesn't want a third kid. So he talks about going into the doctor's office and making the appointment for the vasectomy. And they're like, okay, is there a card that we can put down to charge?
Would you call this emotionally abusive?
I
I don't
mean,
know.
but like it was just, and then he like talked about how he had to tell like the receptionist that like, oh, I'm not paying for this. My mom's gonna call in and she's gonna put her card down and she's paying for this. And he was like, it was really awkward because I'm like a grown man and my mom was paying for my vasectomy.
I'm a grown man.
How would you
I'm a
respond to your mom paying for your vasectomy?
I wouldn't be getting one on behalf of my mother. I'd be like, I would like to return this gift. It's not.
I
It's
mean, I
for me
guess
to
we don't
decide.
really have to worry about getting a vasectomy.
Yeah.
It's not like
I
we're,
would still. Oh my God, can you imagine though, as a male, not being able to orgasm?
you can still orgasm.
You can't shoot anything.
Why not? You still have fluid.
Do you?
You just are shooting blanks. Right? Like you can still perform all of the regular performance. It just is you can't it's just you're shooting blanks. It's the performance is empty, you know? It's like
Look,
it's non-fat milk is what you're shooting. You have whole milk and then non-fat milk and then when you get a
look
vasectomy
it
it's
up while I
non-fat.
get to this next story about our coinciding little boy who starred with Army Hammer Time, Timothy, who's also opening up
Oh,
about.
weren't they doing a part 2?
Girl, I don't know.
Call Me by Your
Don't
Name
know.
too. There was a sequel. Well, I guess not with Army Hammer anymore cuz now he
Mm.
eats people. But like
Well,
yeah.
you look up about the vasectomy, and I'll tell you about this. But uh, nothing new too much on Timothy Chalamet except for his new Bob Dylan movie. But in a candid interview with the Zane Lowe's Apple Music one, uh, he talked about his auditions, and he's gone out for movies like The Maze Runner or Divergent. Um, and he said those types of films that were popular when I was starting out, the feedback was always, you don't have the right body. Like, I had an agent call me and he said, quote, you need to put on weight, not aggressively, but it was very clear. So it is interesting that like he found his way in a lot of movies like Call Me by Your Name, Beautiful Boy, Lady Bird, Little Woman, Miss Stevens, and Hot Summer Nights. And now he's been so much in the scene for a lot of different
Is
things.
he
But
still dating Kylie?
yeah,
Do we know that?
the world may
Well,
never know.
if they broke up a few months ago, I'm sure we'll find out about it tomorrow on Billboard.
Yeah. hmm Did you find out about vasectomies?
Yes, I did.
Mm.
You can still perform sexually after having a vasectomy. It does not affect your ability to get an erection, orgasm, or ejaculate. The only difference is that your semen will not contain sperm, meaning you cannot impregnate a partner. Essentially, your function remains the same, just without the ability to father a child. So I was correct. You now have non-fat milk versus whole
Do
milk.
you think that like that? I wonder. I'm no doctor. If that affects like your pent up feelings of having all this testosterone in you, like it's just blocked and it's just sitting. Like,
Well, I think your body still produces testosterone.
yeah, but like your
That is,
viral load is just sitting there becoming old load.
yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Like
Dangerous
that's what I wonder. And in other news for our general news, as you learn about this other part of a vasectomy, Whoopi Goldberg is saying she considers leaving The View if she had more money. She's saying she's having a hard time like other people. I think honestly, people are taking this in a lot of different directions, but
Whoopee.
she makes a couple million on The View. I think as she has gotten older, I think as she is a richer person and established, affluent, like she maybe makes a little less than what she did, or she's trying to take care of other people. But like, think of it this way: as you make more money, you have different standards for your lifestyle and people to take care of. You have your agent, you
That's
have your
fair.
manager. I mean, I think that she just has a different tax bracket stress. People were saying she needs to get an accountant. She needs to get this. I'm like, she has built her life around a level of wealth where she was hoping probably at a certain age she'd be making a little bit more than this couple lump sum million, but she's like, you know what? I'm trying to take care of everybody, and you have expenses, and you get older. You have other expenses.
I
I
mean,
get both sides of what people are saying.
she doesn't know when to read the room. Like, you can't go on your television talk show in New York and talk about how you can't afford to not work because a couple $1 million a year is not enough for you when most Americans are struggling to put food on the table. Like, this is why somebody like Whoopi Goldberg and The View, like, this is why shows like The View are struggling in their ratings, is because it's so out of touch in comparison to the people that are watching these shows. But I mean, Whoopi Goldberg being out of touch is not shocking to me. I hope that she is okay with, her couple mil that she makes per year on top of the residuals she makes from her previous projects.
She said, if I had all the money in the world, I would not be here, okay? So I'm a working person. So I think she meant it as, if I had more money, I wouldn't be here. Not like, oh my God, I don't make enough money. So, you know, interesting time.
Well, a lot of Americans don't have jobs right now. Got it, Whoopi. Your job is, you wish you had all the money in the world. I mean, good for her.
In our couples corner, we have Megan Fox coming out of the blue.
That was wild. I didn't even realize she was still with Machine Gun Kelly. And so apparently
I didn't
they're
know
still together.
shit. She's preggo.
Did she get pregnant with his sperm or with his blood? Because they drink each other's blood for rituals. Which also so wild. Like when she was talking about it on Call Her Daddy, and she's like, "Yeah, we occasionally do that." And I'm like, "This is like as weird as Angelina Jolie when she was wearing. Remember when she was wearing the blood necklace? Um,
Yeah.
way back in the day. I mean, good for Megan Kelly. I don't know. I sorry, not Megan Kelly. Good for
Megan
Megan
Kelly.
Fox. Megan Fox, because I
Megan
was
Kelly's
thinking
the
Megan
view.
Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox. I put the
I
two together.
know.
Um, but like, well, yeah. If we're gonna ship them, we'll call them Megan Kelly. But
Megan
I mean, good
Kelly.
for them because I know she suffered a miscarriage recently, and so they called this her rainbow baby. I didn't realize that was the name that was given to a child that you conceive after a miscarriage. But I mean, good for them. I'm a little concerned for her because I feel like she's raised a lot of concerns. I think there's a lot more emotional abuse in that relationship with the two of them, um, and just some of the stuff that he's put her through. Like, do you remember
Yeah.
when, what was it in one of his songs where he talks about how like he was on the phone with her and he was threatening to hurt himself and she was like trying to talk him off the ledge?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I
I
can't,
mean,
like, that is emotional abuse. That to me, like the fact that they're still together and having, I mean, good for them, but I'm also a little concerned for her.
also I'm concerned for Jessica Simpson.
She's just all sorts of strange, Jessica Simpson. Like, I don't know what in the shoe line happened to her, but like people are speculating that she and Eric Johnson have split because I guess there's just not real clarity about what's going on in their relationship. And she posted like this cryptic Instagram post where they random Instagram post where the
People also put things like lots of thirst traps lately. It's giving single woman, and people were like, "Are you talking about your husband?" Um, it's so many people were like, "I think she's been divorced for months," based on all these cryptic posts. But like, I don't know what it's like to be a couple in that big position of whether you're a Machine Gun Kelly or you are an Jessica Simpson, also Ashley Simpson. Um,
well, Ashley Simpson
they
seems to
have
be doing
all,
well. Her
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
her and Evan seem fine. She
yeah,
had her
yes,
she had her
yes,
little comeback. Remember, she did that concert, and everyone was like, "Hello,
yes.
hello, 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 V. I'm talking about." Oh wait, that was the wrong album. It was the pieces, the pieces
Yeah, I
of
was very out of the blue too.
me.
But both of these announcements or non-announcement announcements are interesting in our mix of things this week. But that's all of our headlines.
That was a lot of
That's
headlines.
that was a lot. I feel like we packed, and I feel like I just had like a whole assignment of readings from my English teacher in high school. Like, don't forget, read this in a week. And I'm like, fuck, shit, bitch. Like, you kidding? I did it. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes I do sit down and I'm like, how do we know such useless nonsense and we come and bring it here?
yeah.
Girl, so confusing. Well, we've been out of studio for a minute because we have some things going on with our studio, but we'll be back in studio real soon. Other than that, Zach, is there anything you want to leave them with?
Leave us a review, drop a comment, like this video on YouTube, rate us on Spotify, do all the things to keep us going strong, and hopefully we'll get back in studio soon so we can like officially celebrate our 50 episodes.
Oh, the pieces of this episode. All right, everybody, we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Well, that concludes this episode of the Pop Report.
And you should probably hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode.
If you didn't at this point, I don't know what the hell you're doing. But if you want to keep
wasting
up with,
time.
you know that's true. If you want to keep up with more, obviously follow us along, find more on our playlists, and listen wherever. Leave a review. Do the damn thing.
All the things, all the engagement. We love you, so show us some love.
We don't.